I want what any princess wants. To live happily ever after. With the ogre I married.
Shrek 2. One of the greatest animated films of all time, and definitely one of my favorite DreamWorks films. Everyone who's anyone has seen this incredible film, which really raised a lot of my generation. Shrek 2 was released April 19, 2004, a mere 20 years ago. Audiences were quick to return to the swamp to see our beloved characters once again. Only this time, they're leaving the swamp. If you didn't know, originally this film was intended to follow a classic fairy tale story like the first film, and well, thank God that didn't happen. Look, I applaud the first film for being a big middle finger to those classic stories as well as to Disney, but I just love the idea that not only is this another parody, but it's also sort of a commentary on Hollywood and relationships. The entire film has this modern feel, but you can clearly see its medieval influences and early 2000s atmosphere. There are times where you can see a Starbucks coffee shop, which is clearly a play on Starbucks, or a Justin Timberlake poster on the wall. But all of the characters are riding horse carriages and still wearing powdered wigs. It's a testament to the filmmakers wanting to adhere to the idea that this world is a twist on ours. As for the film itself, Shrek continues to be a surprisingly mature franchise by tackling a story no longer about subverting the love trope. Now it's about the relationship and marriage between Shrek and Fiona. They truly love each other, and this film shows that within its clever and satirical writing. Relationships are all about sacrifices, and as these characters are fictional, they represent one of the most mature relationships in cinema. On that note, they both love each other to the point where they're willing to sacrifice something just to make the other person happy. In Shrek's case, he was willing to give up his physical biology. He was born an ogre, but he was willing to give it all up just to be with Fiona. And she was willing to leave her parents and never return. She was reunited with her people, but was willing to give it all up to be with Shrek. One of my favorite moments in the movie is when Shrek asks Fiona at the last minute, is this the lifestyle that she wanted? It's a level of communication in all relationships we as people should strive towards. Now, I'm not saying just go out and base your relationship on a 20-year-old animated film, but if I can't find someone to fart in a mud pool with, then I don't think I'm ever going to be cut out for love. If the first film created a great atmosphere for fairy tales to be attacked, well, where do you go from there? You create a commentary on Hollywood with these characters. This film does what a sequel is supposed to do, and that is expand this world to new places, new environments, and new vibrant characters like my personal favorite.
Pray for mercy from Puss.
You know, while I was rewatching this movie, I kind of found it a little bit funny that Shrek instantly embraces Puss versus the first film where it took him the entire runtime to actually like Donkey. There's a little fun observation there, but the screenwriters took inspiration from films like Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, and it shows. It also plays like a Meet the Parents parody almost, and through them, we get some more background as to why Fiona was locked in the tower and why the king has ties to the fairy godmother. Each new character plays like a parody of a different pop culture icon. Fairy godmother is a mob boss. Prince Charming is the spoiled child of the mob boss. Puss in Boots is an assassin, almost like Zorro, which kind of makes sense because he's voiced by Zorro himself, Antonio Banderas. If the first film was about loving people for their insides, this one is about loving yourself on the outside. And I think the biggest showcase of this is from the king. We all know that Shrek is a very insecure character.
Shrek. Fiona knows you'd do anything for her.
Well, it's not like I wouldn't change if I could. I just wish I could make her happy.
But if you think about it, Harold is what Shrek was going to turn into if he went through with everything. Smartly turning the Princess and the Frog story on his head, throughout the film they foreshadow who the king truly is and the deal he made with the fairy godmother. His sheets are green. His bed is almost like a lily pad. This frog lady recognizing him.
Do I know you?
No, you must be mistaking me for someone else.
Does this insinuate that the king used to get down with lady frogs when he used to be a frog? Just something to think about. He was once Shrek, a frog repulsed by everyone, wanting to marry someone as beautiful as Lillian, Fiona's mother. So he makes a deal to become human forever, just to find his true love. But he wasn't true to himself. And one of the most powerful lines in the movie comes from Lillian accepting Harold for his insides rather than his outsides.
I'm sorry, Lillian. I just wish I could be the man you deserve.
You're more that man today than you ever were. Warts and all.
It kind of has a nice callback to the first film. This film works on so many levels, showing us the different parallels to how different Shrek's life would be if he was human. People embrace him. They allow him to sit at bars, but also it shows how much this life isn't for him. Fiona spots it a mile away when Shrek and Charming are swapped. It goes back to the central message of loving yourself just enough to be yourself. Those who love you will never stop loving you. Think about the king, and especially what Fiona says in this scene.
I want what any princess wants. To live happily ever after with the ogre I married.
Look, I've touched on it enough, so let's truly dive into how much this film loves making fun of Hollywood culture. Like having the Beverly Hills sign say "Far, Far Away." The Disney princesses that we know and love are all celebrities. There's even a Cops reference that goes so far as to make a joke about the O.J. Simpson white Bronco chase, police brutality, and even planting drugs. I'm actually surprised that they didn't even sneak a Michael Jackson joke in there as well, because I mean, it's early 2000s, about 2004, 2003. I mean, Michael Jackson was getting heat from everyone late 90s, early 2000s. There's no shortage of adult jokes here that the first film's audience fell in love with. There's medieval versions of Funky Town, and even a red carpet hosted by Joan Rivers herself. And finally, the greatest scene of all time. Hit it! Oh, come on. You thought that I was gonna go through this whole video without mentioning the only way I can hear this song? Everything about this scene gives me chills and thrills and takes me back to when I was that 5-year-old kid watching this film on my VHS tape. And because of the backdrop of Far, Far Away, it feels huge enough to give this a larger-than-life scale. Even if it's a human riding a giant gingerbread man to storm a castle, everything about this film speaks huge in scale, bigger and better, and let's not forget to mention bolder. It's a sequel that took the great message from the beginning and expands on it to new heights. And since the first film opened to such great success, you kind of wonder, well, how did the sequel do? Well, the filmmakers had so much faith in this masterpiece, they premiered it in April 2004 at the Cannes Film Festival, in which you didn't know, the French are very, very critical of films. I think Transformers 1 went to the Cannes Film Festival this year and got a standing ovation. The French are very critical when it comes to films. But this one was selected to compete for the Palme d'Or, which is regarded as one of the film industry's most prestigious awards, up there with an Oscar. And the first film won Best Animated Picture. Worldwide, Shrek 2 opened to #1 at the box office on May 19, 2004 to an opening weekend total of $108 million and $129 million thanks to its Wednesday launch. At the time, it was the first film to premiere in over 4,000 theaters around the world. Additionally, it was the second highest opening at the time, only behind 2002's Spider-Man. Mind you, the same year Shrek 2 was released, Spider-Man 2 released, another highly anticipated sequel to the highest opening grossing film of all time at that time, Spider-Man 2002. Shrek 2's worldwide box office total came out to a whopping $928,974,162 on a budget of $150 million. Clearly, the audience wanted more of this world and its clever characters and wit. Critics adored it. Audiences appreciated its poke at the real-world controversies, and of course, the children had a blast, dragging their parents for seconds, third, and fourth viewings. Shrek 2 conquered the world, bringing a sequel that goes bigger and better than the first, while being just as subversive and just as crude, but also being even more heartfelt and smartly written than the first. As a kid, I would remember rarely watching this film, as I only had it on VHS versus having the others on DVD. And maybe that's the reason it's so special to me. It was rare when I could watch this masterpiece. I think no one who's anyone would think that the underdog would succeed this much. But DreamWorks found a way to strike lightning in a bottle twice, giving us not just another great message, but also the perfect sequel. Oh, come on. You guys didn't think that I was going to go the entirety of 2024 without dropping a video in respects to Shrek 2 on its 20th anniversary year. I went to go see this movie in theaters for the first time of my life back in April, and I've just been planning out this video since then. I didn't plan for it to come out 3 years after the first video. This is, if you guys didn't know, this is a sequel to the first video that I did all the way back in 2021, and that was for the 20th anniversary release of the first film. So it just kind of worked out that 3 years later, I was thinking, you know what, how about I pick it up again? And it was the 20th anniversary of Shrek 2. So yes, I did wait till the end of the year. It was just a little thing to myself just to see if I could do it. But also comment down below, guys, what did you think of the video? I'm sure that this video is going to get copyrighted. So if you don't mind, just share it, like, and comment. It's not going to change the fact that it's copyrighted, but at least it'll get the channel out there. With all of that being said, guys, like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much for giving me a fantastic year to the channel. And if this is the last SW Nation video that you're watching, have a happy new year, and I will see you all next time. Peace.